Hey everyone, today is still Tuesday, July 14th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, so the market has closed. Well, the market is not really closed. Let's take a look at the market. Today, I am breaking, this is a special episode, actually a second video of the day. The reason is, something happened after the market has closed, okay? So if you guys trade the futures market, you will know that this market trades 23.6. So 23 hours a day, almost 23 hours a day, except on Sunday and 6 days a week. Okay, it doesn't trade on Saturday and it closes around 4 p.m. on Friday and reopens at 6 p.m. on Sunday. And and it closes between 4 p.m. to actually not 4 p.m. I think it's 5. I think it's 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. So it closes for an hour every day. I think just for their technical maintenance. So this market trades pretty much 23.6, and you can see that the market gapped up by almost 1% after something happened after it reopened an hour after it closed at the 5 o'clock today. And the reason is, we had a news here. Moderna released a new COVID-19 vaccine data, final trial start date. So what happened is Moderna is one of the companies that's developing a COVID vaccine. And you can see that here. Here on the New York Times, you guys can go to this link, where they have a coronavirus vaccine tracker, where they have a list of all the companies in the world that's developing the vaccine. And the vaccine development basically has a bunch of phases. So Moderna is in phase 2. Most of the companies are in phase 2 right now, and a lot of companies are in phase 1 still, and rarely you have companies in phase 3. And phase 3 companies are actually using some other non-conventional methods. So the fastest you can get right now, the most forefront companies right now, they are in phase 2. And CanSino, which is Chinese Hong Kong-based company, and also the Moderna are the two my favorite COVID company, because their vaccine development has been going on as long as half a year, almost half a year. And you can see that this news came out. What's interesting about this news is that I don't think this news is a bullish news. I think this news is, if you think about it, is a pretty bearish news. And the market right now is interpreting the news as very positive. That's why it gapped up. But I think this news was released intentionally to do the pump and dump in the market. So let me show you why. First of all, this news was released. The earliest article I can find about this particular news about this new Moderna vaccine data was around 5 p.m. Eastern Time, which is exactly the time the market actually closes. That's why this news came out interpreted as positive news by the market, and the market immediately gapped up. And so what happened here is that if you have a positive news, if you want to bring the market up to a certain level, the best time to bring the market up to a certain level, the best way to do it is to release the news when the market is not trading. Okay, so when the market opens, immediately you can, as a market maker, you can have a higher offering price in your bid and ask value. So what happened is, because there's nothing traded during that time, the market got closed, you basically spend no money propping up the market, right? Because in a normal market where you have some volumes, in order to bring the market to a certain level, you still have to buy all the bids in that in the bid and ask spread, right? You have to buy from the potential sellers during that rally. So because the market was closed, you release amazing news. Now the market gapped up. As a market maker, you can literally have a zero cost pumping in the market. You can bring the market to a certain level without costing you anything. And this is exactly what happened today. Whether the news was intentionally released at 5 o'clock or not, I don't know, but it is pretty suspicious. Okay? That's the first. So Moderna right now, this company is in phase 2, and that is not something very encouraging. Right? The reason is, I really recommend you guys to read this article on New York Times about how long will a vaccine really take. And if you look at a typical scenario, a vaccine, when you start doing development, when you start doing academic research or development, it's going to take a year. And usually, by the time the thing is going to be distributed to the general public, it's going to be May 2036. Obviously, we don't have that much time. Right now, the FDC or FDC equivalents in all the nations that try to race through this process, they are aiming to have vaccine by August 2021. That's assuming everything went perfectly. Like, you can actually do a lot of things in parallel. So if you look at this typical scenario, a lot of phases they're doing in serial manner, right? You're doing one by one, the phase 1, phase 2 after phase 1, phase 3 after phase 2, then you're building the factory. So if you look at this, the accelerated scenario, where you're building factories even before the phase 1 trials or at the phase 1 trials. And you're manufacturing probably as your factory is being built or as it's almost done, you can start doing some low quantity manufacturing. So even if you're doing all that stuff in parallel, managing everything perfectly, you can start having mass manufacturing of vaccine by August 2020. That's the earliest, and that is their opinion, of course. But I think that is pretty close to the reality. I have a person who is actually a fund manager who had his doctoral degree. He was in the medical field. That's why he covers the entire medical sector in that fund. And he told me that this estimate is fairly close to reality, fairly close to his experience on this. So by looking at this, you have a August 2021 timeline, assuming everything went absolutely perfect. And that is a problem, right? The problem is right now, so Moderna is in phase 2, and it's going to phase 3. So there is news saying that Moderna is going to be in phase 3 by the end of this month, by end of July. I think that, July 27th. So that is something they're aiming for. So that's great. And so seems to be that they are on track. They're on track according to this schedule. So let's assume they can release this vaccine by August 2021. And August 2021, that is a problem. So because right now, the rest of the world basically, let's say European Union's, Southeast Asia, maybe not Southeast Asia, yes. European Union, some part of the world have been flattening the curve. They have been successful, especially nations like Germany, Sweden, all these nations, right? And plus Hong Kong, China, they have, COVID is dead in China, okay? And Hong Kong is dead because these guys wear masks, they don't go out, they don't run around, okay? They're scared of COVID, they're scared of the virus, they don't care about their freedom, they don't care, they just want to stay alive, okay? Because these are very population dense areas, so one guy got infected, everyone's dead. Their parents are going to be dead, especially for a lot of East Asian families, especially Hong Kong, where real estate is crazy, right? You have several generations living in the same house. So if the younger person go out and partying, and they're going to bring the virus back home. And you know how deadly these viruses are to the older generation, right? So that's why these nations like Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan, China, they don't care about freedom. They don't go out. They they basically shut it down, their home, their schools, everything for like last couple of months, and now they're back online. Basically, COVID is dead in these nations, so that's great. But the problem is the United States right now doesn't look too good, right? Because we are literally in the second wave. I mean, I'm not in the United States, I'm in Canada, but United States is in a second wave. So if you guys go to this website, so given the current data, we can project a range of a possibility where how many people are going to be infected by the time we reach July next year. That's the earliest time you can have the vaccine available. So by the time we have, I mean, this projection doesn't even go that far. So by the time we reach November 1st, 2020, just based on the current rate, I think it's very unlikely that this curve is going to be flattened. Look, I don't want to see Canada. I want to see United States. So you can see that given this kind of trajectories, I don't think you can actually flatten the curve anymore. And given everything has been reopened, and you can see that this projection, the upper bound, is going to be upper range by October this year. By October this year, it's going to be 88 million people got infected. Okay, that's almost one fourth of the population of the United States, right? The United States population right now is 330 million. So you have almost 90 million people got infected by November 1st. That's one fourth of the population. So by the time you reach July 1st, you probably have more than half the population or even more got infected. You have herd immunity, like everyone got infected now by July 1st, 2021. So your vaccine is pointless by that time, right? Because almost everyone got it. And because everyone got it, most people probably already developed the immunity. And that is going to slow down the infection rate, and eventually the thing just gonna die out, just like Spanish flu. If the thing doesn't mutate. So if this thing mutates, right? Because when you get infected by the COVID is using your body as a mutation, because you are like literally a mutation petri dish for the virus, right? Every person is a petri dish for the virus. The virus is growing in your body. The virus is also changing, mutating eventually. This thing, because millions people got infected, just by random chance, COVID could become more deadly or more infectious, or the current vaccine no longer works for the future mutated COVID virus. So what happened is your vaccine, by the time it comes out, I think is just going to be useless. Even with the fastest, the quickest timeline, the perfect timeline here, August 2021. So this vaccine development news does not apply to the United States. Okay, United States right now, if USA cannot flatten the second wave, it cannot flatten this curve, it's basically done. Like it's we're gonna end up in the Spanish flu scenario, because this is literally a Spanish flu scenario where everyone's gonna be getting infected, and the vaccine is gonna be too late by August 2021, which is the earliest. But this would apply to the rest of the world, right? European Unions, all these East Asian nations, they have been flattening the curve, they got it down to almost nothing. So they will be able to take this vaccine. They will be able to enjoy it. That's why the people from CDC, the experts, they've been saying that they want to flatten the curve. That's how important it is to flatten the curve, because if you don't flatten the curve, there's no point in having the vaccine. The vaccine the earliest is August 2021, right? So if you don't flatten the curve, this thing goes exponential. Everybody gets infected. What's the point of having vaccine, right, for the nation? And that is not good for the U.S. economy. So even if the thing produced a positive results, the phase 1, phase 2, I don't think it matters at this point, because this is done, right? And also, when they release the news, not during the day, they release it right at the close of all the markets, right? They pick the spot, the only time throughout the day. We have a 24-hour day. And the only time when all the markets have been shut down, is between 5 to 6 p.m. And that's the time they chose to release the news. That's just highly suspicious. It's like a pump and dump. And I think tomorrow this thing opens up. I mean, I drew this thing a long time ago. I drew this thing, a couple of days ago. I'm expecting this thing to open up, maybe even make a new high, right? Tomorrow, maybe this makes a new high, make a new high in the index, and then went 180 degrees down to the oblivion, actually. I think this thing's gonna make a new high, and it could just like this, and make a huge correction afterwards. So I highly suspect this is a pump and dump scenario by the Wall Street. The news just came in too convenient for me to not suspect this is not a pump and dump kind of news. So buy the rumor, sell the news. Now the news comes out, you should sell the news. And if you're chasing up here, you're just like you're gonna lose money, almost 100% in my opinion. Okay, so that's why I want to talk about, make this special episode, the second video of the day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.